Hola chicos, en este video vamos a aprender el vocabulario de Unidad 3, Lección 1. In this video, I'm going to teach you the vocabulary for Unit 3, Lesson 1. Toda la información está en página 159. All this vocab can be found on page 159 on the online textbook. Feliz Año Nuevo! Happy New Year! Since we're into a new year, we're going to set some new goals, some resolutions for this new semester of Spanish 1. So my goals that I would like for you to think about are to study more, to write more, to interact more in class. Of course, we'll be doing some more reading and listening activities, all for our goal of eventually being able to speak more Spanish. So keeping those in mind, the acronym for those are SWIRL. We're going to swirl our way to success. So set your goals now and stick to it because we know it takes lots of practice, but practice makes perfect. Metas. So speaking of goals, metas is how we say goals in Spanish. So las metas de Unidad 3, Lección 1, our goals for Unit 3, Lesson 1, will be to talk about foods and beverages. We'll also ask questions, and we're going to say which foods we like and do not like. Foods and beverages. Empezamos aquí. I'd like for you guys to go ahead and you have your notes, you have your new vocab list. I'd like you to write down these phrases that I have in Spanish on your vocab list. I will say them. I'd like for you to repeat them. So please pause and repeat the phrases. El almuerzo. El almuerzo significa lunch. Repita, por favor. El almuerzo. La bebida. La bebida significa drink or beverage. La cena. La cena significa dinner. Compartir. Compartir significa to share. La comida. La comida significa food or a meal. El desayuno. El desayuno significa breakfast. Vender. Vender es un verbo. This is a verb that means to sell. But you can use this word to think of street vendors. People who sell food are known as vendors. So they sell things. Vender, to sell. El café. El café significa coffee. El cereal es un cognado for cereal. El huevo significa egg. El jugo de naranja significa orange juice. Remember on this one, it's literally the juice of whatever fruit. So I could say jugo de manzana, jugo de naranja, juice of whatever fruit. La leche. La leche significa milk. El pan. El pan significa bread. So careful, I'm not saying the pan. El pan is the word for bread. El yogur. La hamburguesa. El sándwich de jamón y queso. Once again, I'm saying whatever type of sandwich. El sándwich de jamón y queso, this would be ham and cheese sandwich. La sopa. Careful with this one. When we think of sopa, this would be a false cognate. So not soap. We're not going to eat soap. Sopa is soup. La banana. Some countries might say el banano. In Costa Rica, that's what they say. El plátano is a little bit different. That's more of a plantain. Similar to a banana, but often those are fried. La manzana. La manzana. Apple. Las uvas, since grapes are in a bunch, I would say las uvas, since it's plural. Finally, we're getting into describing our feelings. Tener ganas de. Tener ganas de is to feel like. So down below, it's no sé si las clases son muy aburridas o yo siempre tengo muchas ganas de dormir. So here he's saying, I don't know if the classes are really boring or I just really want to sleep. Tener hambre. You're familiar with the very hungry caterpillar? Tener hambre is to be hungry. To be hungry. Now careful with this one. This is an expression in Spanish. I wouldn't say in English, I have hunger. It sounds kind of weird. But the phrase in Spanish, we use the verb tener, which we know is to have. So you're literally saying, I have hunger. Different expression in Español. Tener sed, similar thing here. Here we're saying, I am thirsty. In Spanish, we say, tengo sed. I have thirst. Es diferente. Asking questions. We're familiar with some of these question words from our Pregunta del Día. I'd like you to kind of associate the question word with a common question that you already know. For example, ¿cómo? We know ¿cómo? It means how from ¿cómo estás? How are you? ¿Cuál or cuáles, if I'm talking about which ones, this means which. So, ¿cuál es tu trabajo ideal? What's your ideal job? Now, we know this as what is your ideal job? Often in Spanish, when I'm saying out of several options, which one would you choose? I'm going to use cuál over the word que for what. ¿Por qué is literally for what reason, or we know this as why. ¿Qué? ¿Qué pasa? So we know ¿qué pasa is what's up, or I could say ¿qué te gusta hacer? What do you like to do? ¿Quién or quiénes if I'm talking about more than one person. ¿Quién is the word for who? So often magazines talk about who's popular, who's famous, who's the best athlete. So the word quién, I know I'm talking about who. This word is always dealing with people. ¿Quién? Who or whom. Finally, we have some additional words and phrases. Ahora. Ahora is now. Es importante. Es importante, cognate, it's important. Horrible. Remember, H's are silent, so I'm not going to say horrible. Es difícil decirlo. Horrible. So I'm going to omit the H sound in Español. Nutritivo or nutritiva, nutritious. Otro or otra is another. Para ti, that means this is the word for. So, para ti. Tengo una rosa para ti. For you. Y finalmente, rico o rica. This actually tiene dos significados. Rico can mean rich. In this case, when I'm talking about food, it's often used as delicious or delicioso. So it's a synonym for delicious. Rico, rica. Muchas gracias. Please review this vocab. Remember, repetition is what it takes to be successful in a foreign language. So review, repeat your vocabulary out loud, and there will be a follow-up quiz on our Google community with this vocab to practice. Adios.